when a loyal German Shepherd suddenly blocked his owner's path and barked uncontrollably. Everyone thought it was just bad behavior. But only minutes later, the shocking truth was revealed. What the dog had since left the entire crowd stunned and proved that his instincts were nothing short of miraculous. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. It was a calm spring morning in the quiet suburbs, where life usually moved at its own unhurried pace. Mark locked his front door, adjusting the strap of his bag across his shoulder. Today was nothing special, just another day at work, another routine to follow. Or so he thought. Beside him trotted Rex, his loyal German Shepherd, tail swishing with quiet energy. For years, the two had shared an unshakable bond. Rex was more than a pet. He was Mark's shadow, protector, and best friend. Usually, the mornings were simple: a quick walk to the car, a pat on the head, and Rex would retreat to the porch to watch his owner drive away. But this morning felt different. As Mark jingled his car keys, Rex didn't sit obediently like always. Instead, his sharp amber eyes locked onto his owner with unusual intensity, like he knew something Mark didn't. Mark stepped off the porch, expecting Rex to trot back toward his usual spot. Instead, the German Shepherd moved quickly in front of him, planting himself firmly in the middle of the walkway. Mark frowned. "Come on, boy. Not today," he muttered, trying to sidestep. But Rex wouldn't budge. His body stiffened, ears pricked forward, a low growl rumbling deep in his chest. Mark froze, confused. Rex had never behaved this way before. "Rex, heel," Mark commanded. But instead of obeying, the dog nudged his leg and then pulled at his jacket sleeve with surprising force. From across the street, neighbors paused to watch. A couple whispered to each other, puzzled at the scene unfolding. To them, it looked like Rex was misbehaving, maybe even turning aggressive. Mark felt his face flush. The last thing he wanted was an audience. He tugged his arm free, forcing a laugh. "Sorry, he's just energetic today." But deep inside, a sliver of unease crept in. Rex's amber eyes never left him. They weren't playful or stubborn, they were warning him. And though Mark couldn't yet understand it, the dog was trying to keep him from stepping forward. Mark tightened his grip on his keys and tried again to move past, but Rex lunged sideways, blocking him with surprising force. The metallic jingle of the collar echoed as the dog barked sharply, his deep voice cutting through the quiet neighborhood. A few more neighbors stepped out onto porches, curiosity drawing them closer. Some crossed their arms, watching with frowns. To them, it looked like the dog was out of control. "Maybe he smells something," one man muttered. Another shook his head. "That dog's dangerous." Mark's frustration grew. He loved Rex, but he couldn't shake the embarrassment of being on display. "Enough," he snapped, tugging hard at the leash. But Rex resisted, pulling back so fiercely that Mark nearly lost his balance. The shepherd's teeth grazed his sleeve as he barked again, sharper this time, eyes blazing with urgency. This wasn't disobedience. This was desperation. Mark's chest tightened. Rex had been trained to protect, to alert him to danger. But there was nothing out of the ordinary. No strangers, no threats, just a peaceful street. Still, the dog wouldn't stop. His muscles trembled with tension, as though he knew something terrible was only seconds away. Mark opened his mouth to argue again when a strange sound reached his ears, a faint metallic clatter followed by a low rumble. At first, it seemed distant, but within seconds it grew louder, sharper, more threatening. Rex's ears shot up. He barked furiously, planting his paws against the ground and yanking Mark backward with all his strength. Confused, Mark glanced up the street, and his blood ran cold. A car was rolling down the incline with no driver inside. The empty vehicle picked up speed as it barreled straight toward the exact spot Mark had been trying to step into. Gasps erupted from the onlookers. "Oh my God," someone shouted. People stumbled back as the runaway car thundered closer, its tires squealing against the pavement. Mark froze for a split second, shock rooting him to the ground. But Rex didn't hesitate. The German Shepherd lunged, teeth clamping firmly onto Mark's sleeve, dragging him backward with raw determination. The car roared past, missing Mark by inches, before slamming violently into a lamppost with a deafening crash. Shattered glass and twisted metal scattered across the street. The neighborhood fell into stunned silence. And suddenly, everyone understood why the dog had refused to let go. For a long moment, no one moved. The air was thick with the smell of burning rubber, and the car's horn blared endlessly, stuck from the impact. Shards of glass glittered across the pavement like scattered ice. Mark stood frozen, heart hammering in his chest. He turned slowly toward Rex, who was still gripping his sleeve, chest heaving from exertion. Only then did Mark realize the dog hadn't been misbehaving. He had been saving his life. Neighbors whispered in disbelief. If that car hadn't hit the pole, one woman murmured, her voice trailing off. Another man shook his head. That shepherd just pulled him away in time. Unbelievable. Mark's knees nearly buckled as the truth sank in. Just seconds earlier, he would have stepped directly into the path of that runaway car. Without Rex's refusal, without his relentless barking and tugging, Mark would have been crushed beneath the weight of steel and glass. He dropped to one knee, wrapping his arms tightly around Rex's neck. The shepherd whined softly, licking his hand as if to reassure him. Mark whispered hoarsely, "You knew. You knew all along." And for the first time that morning, Mark no longer felt embarrassed, only grateful beyond words. The silence broke as people hurried toward Mark, their voices a mix of shock and amazement. "Are you all right?" someone asked breathlessly. Another neighbor shook his head in awe. "That dog just saved your life." Mark, still kneeling, tightened his embrace around Rex. The German shepherd's body was warm and steady, his heartbeat strong against Mark's chest. The dog wasn't shaken. He was watchful, calm, as though protecting his owner had been the most natural thing in the world. Mark's hands trembled as he stroked Rex's fur. "I didn't listen to you," he whispered, guilt heavy in his tone. "But you didn't give up on me." Around them, neighbors exchanged looks of admiration. Even those who moments earlier thought Rex was dangerous now stood in silent respect. The same dog they judged had proven to be a hero before their very eyes. Mark slowly stood, placing a steadying hand on Rex's head. His heart was still pounding, but there was no mistaking the truth. His loyal companion had seen danger before. He could, and had acted without hesitation. Looking at Rex, Mark felt his throat tighten. This wasn't just loyalty. This was love, instinct, and sacrifice bound into one extraordinary moment. News of the incident spread quickly through the neighborhood. Within hours, people were still talking about the German shepherd who had refused to let his owner move and ended up saving his life. Some even began calling Rex the guardian of the street. Neighbors who once crossed the street to avoid Rex now walked up to him with gentle smiles, offering pats and praise. Children pointed, whispering excitedly, "That's the hero dog." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mark sat on his porch with Rex by his side. He couldn't stop glancing at the dog, gratitude swelling each time. Rex hadn't just saved his life. He had reminded everyone of the silent, powerful bond between humans and their loyal companions. Sometimes, animals see what we cannot. Sometimes, their instincts are the thin line between life and tragedy.